Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. In this video I'll be showcasing the Smite Fissure type of build guide for the mid game. It's already ready for the end game, but I'm simply not there yet. So this is on Last Epoch, by the way, no Path of Exile, whatever. So just so you know, you clicked on the right video, it's Last Epoch. Anyway, I'm gonna go into it, how I did the leveling part and also what I'm doing right now, because it's absolutely blasting. I mean, this build is crazy OP. Just so you know, Dreadful made this build. I did not make this build myself. Dreadful is one of the biggest Last Epoch streamers and he's done great work on his build. He theory crafted and everything. I'll put the link in the description. And for leveling, I just did a max roll build. So none of this is actually my own stuff, but I just want to share my experience. So if anyone else that's playing Paladin wants to go like a lightning route or damage over time route, that they kind of know what to do. Because there's no real one set path for it. It's a bit wonky on the leveling stuff and that kind of stuff. Dreadful has builds on both, by the way. I'm not saying that his stuff is bad or anything. I'm just saying this is just more of a one-stop thing where I have the whole guide ready, or what I did for my first 2 days at the start of the league. Anyway, to get into it, skills-wise, and if I remember the shortcut for skills. So this is how the skills look now. But at the beginning, I would say I'm gonna go a little bit over what I did for leveling. I just followed a max roll guide, and basically what you do in that one is you use Rife at level 5. With this, you can create low forged weapons, which will do insane amount of damage. That's really good. And then later on, you will get a javelin. And with the javelin, you can get, I think this one, yeah, the Holy Trail. And that deals fire and lightning damage over time. And you'll start stacking spell damage. And then you will get a lot of spell damage for that. You just throw the spear, start walking, and enemies will chase behind you, get into the Holy Trail, and die. That's basically it. And then later on, you'll also get Judgment, which deals a ton of damage over time as well. And then I went a little bit over here for the Consecrated Grounds. And with that, I just got a lot. I didn't get that one. Just these two for a lot of extra damage on the Consecrated Grounds. You can also do it. This doesn't have a cooldown. It will have a lot of mana cost. In the beginning, you only have like 100 mana. So that means 2 casts. Usually, this is enough to kill most of the enemies. Especially in the early game when you're going through the campaign. Once you get this, it's crazy good. But around level 40-ish, I think after I finished the campaign, which was around level 45-ish, a few hours in, I actually switched to this build, which I'm going to showcase right now. And that is actually just fully for the Smite and Fissure. What I first did, of course, I swapped one of my skills to Smite, because I wasn't too sure if this was going to work or not, and it was working like a charm. So I'll get into Smite first, because that's a little bit the first thing. What I did, I had like a few points because of the specialization. I immediately went into lightning. So normally, if you want more damage, this is not the way to go. This is what gives you most of your damage, the Fissure, because this is a damage over time build. You're really getting that damage over time for that Fissure. And doing like Fissure damage and these will give you the most points. So most points of damage. So in the beginning, if you don't really care about lightning flavor, I would say putting points into this, and then also summon to Sacrifice. Sacrifice will give you a ton of multiplicative damage, but at the cost that you'll consume health every time you cast it. I think these two are like the most important ones, but you do want to make it lightning with all the scaling you will do for lightning damage. So there's a bit of a flavor pick, but I would say get this one a little bit earlier and then fully go into Sacrifice and all these two later. This one I took a long while after. Because I don't really have that much attack speed yet, or cast speed. But later on, I'll get more and more, especially once I get the Devotion. I don't have any uniques yet, so I don't really have anything. And another important thing is Healing Hands. Really, this is crazy. You can cast Healing Hands on Smite. That's just the automatic cast. But then there's also the Rehe's Chariot. And with this, it basically becomes your traversal spell. You just go and you just dash around with the Healing Hands. And it's a very short cooldown, only 4 seconds or 5 seconds if you have some, if you don't have any cooldown reduction. And it's very nice, because not only will you just be constantly casting this, healing yourself, but also just dealing damage with it. This also deals some fire damage on hit. You'll be healing yourself and you'll be dashing around. It's just such an all-around skill that it's crazy that this is only... this is all one skill, to be honest. It's both a traversal, a healing, and a damage scale all in one. But basically what I did, I first got to the traversal, then I went and put the points here for the extra spell damage, and then I just made the area and the healing effectiveness a little bit better. So that's kind of the pathing I took for this. And again, for this one, the pathing I first went into lightning damage, then the fissure, and then making everything more effective with the multiplicative damage. Then the other one, which is also really good, is the passive aura, which is just crazy, is the holy aura. With this, I just went for the basically extra lightning penetration and chance, but then just a little bit more damage, and then all the multiplicative stuff at the end. And now I'm just leveling the shelter from the store for more elemental res, because that is still lacking a little bit on my current character. But this is crazy. Just for all these stats are basically free, and then you can even double them for 4 seconds every 9 seconds, which is crazy. If I meet a boss, I just usually pop this, and then it's just crazy increase of damage. Because you can see right now we are at 140k damage, and if I press it, I get to 180k damage. So that's a crazy amount of damage just in there, like 30% damage boost just from one spell, and then you have that for 4 seconds, and you could just keep casting that every 4 seconds or every 9 seconds. Then the other one is the sigils. These are just symbols of hope. A little bit of an extra like defensive layer on there, as if you didn't have enough. But mostly you just get a lot of damage because you get damage per symbol. So you want to get as many symbols as possible. I currently have 5, because if you go down here, you'll get +1. And if you go up here, you'll get +2. So, or well, another +1. Which means you have 5 symbols, which means that you have 125 multiplicative. Or I think it's multiplicative. I'm not sure. Might just be additive because it doesn't say multiplicative. But it's just 125% extra damage. And if you cast it, you will additionally, I think, your added specs, you will deal additional damage as well and get even more health regen. So more tankiness is just the additional points you can put in there to get a little bit more tankiness in there. And other than that, that's it for this Symbols of Hope. And then Abyssal Echo. Making this build, this is the last thing I switched out because I'm not really using this all too often, but it is quite nice just for this extra damage over time taken. And once you get the amulet, which is I think called Devotion, which has a little lightning bolt on it, which is perfect for smite, then you actually get more damage based on your mana. And if your mana is lower, you'll get more damage and cast speed. So this one, I've optimized it so that way that you can actually use it instead of a cooldown, you use mana cost. And with that, you can actually reduce your mana quite low and then just keep casting smite. You need a target for smite, so I can't really cast it. But this is basically what you want to do. So at the boss, usually enemies die before you can even do this. But at a boss, this is really nice to get a little bit close to them. How this works is quite weird. It actually echoes every enemy, but the range for it is not that high. It is actually quite a small range. And if there's enemies up until there, then it will kind of chain through all of the enemies. It will echo. But if it's just one enemy, you need to be quite close for this one. So this is just for the extra 24% damage. And then also it deals some damage over time from itself as well. And you can use it to manage your mana to get lower mana. And then you'll do extra more damage with your smite once you have the unique amulet, which I currently do not. So this one, you can also just, if you are still leveling, because you do need 10 points into the Void Knight as passive tree, I would just say doing Javelin with Holy Trail is fine until you get the points. Seriously, you don't really need this. It's just a nice extra flavor pick in there. But later on, it's great to multiply your crumbling or your smite damage. But for now, it doesn't really matter that much. So I've already been talking about skills for 10 minutes. So let's get into the passive points. Very simple. 5 in there, 5 in there, 5 in there, 5 in there. You'll get smite. Technically, you could be playing smite from here on, but I didn't do that until a little bit later. In the guide I followed, you actually go up with a shield and you get the spell damage. You can do this and then later on just reset everything. That's what I did. At level 40 around here or something, I just reset everything, as well as this one. Reset everything from the leveling guide and then just spec'd into this guide, which is this 5555 there. And then I think I just went 3 points in here, full in Conviction, full in Valor, full in Piety, 1 point in here. I think I did only like 6 or 8 points in here. 6 or 8 points in here. And then I went fully into Covenant of the Dominion for the extra movement speed. And then I filled in these points again. Somewhere in there, you actually do want to get 10 points into Devouring Blade, just so you have the Abyssal Echo. I have that on there right now, but to be honest, I could have waited with this. I could have just played with the Javelin until then. If you're going to be Javelin, I would say getting anything that gives your damage over time more, or just makes everything lightning just for a little bit of a flavor. That is all good. And just a little bit of a cooldown on there, but anything with extra damage on there is good. And yeah, here, the damage over time, multiplicative with other modifiers. You can just scale crazy damage over time with the Javelin, and then also just cast the Smite at the same time. I think that is better until you have something like a Devotion. And yeah, that's it for the passives, I think. Yeah, that's it. And the guide build planner in below will also have some stuff about the passive points, what you want to do after you've leveled around 72 or 73. I think the build planner goes up to level 90 or something. Just the order, I want to showcase a little bit because the build planner doesn't have an order yet. I'm sure Dreadful will add that later, but this is how I did it, basically. I'm using the two-handed staff. At the beginning, I used a weapon and a shield, but now I use the two-handed staff, and really my damage went up by quite a bit. I think when I went a weapon and a shield, I was at like 70k, but now with this one, I went to like 110k, and now slowly I've been building up and up. Just for the helmet and other stuff, just defensive stats. Anything with defensive stats is good. For your belt, you do want elemental damage over time. For your staff, increased damage over time. Resistances, you want to make sure that the resistances are getting capped, so around 75%. This is not that easy for a lot of the resistances that they are, so do try to spend some time into getting the resistance on like your rings. As you can see, my rings aren't that good, so you can really see some improvement there. I don't even have Exalted for everything yet, but this build is already rocking, as you saw in the beginning gameplay. I'm having no struggles. I went for pure movement speed. These boosts give 30% increased movement speed, which is just very nice, and also some good stats of attributes. So that's also really nice. And this one just gives more attack speed or cast speed, which really increases your damage by quite a bit. I mean, just these gloves give like 20k damage per second for that extra cast speed. I have some other gloves in there that which give like critical strike chance or damage over time or whatever. That is not the same as just getting cast speed in there. Also just a little bit more easier for how you do things. And then the build guide below, there will also be more specific things of what you actually want per stat. And there's also some loot filters I put in there. Basically, for the normal loot filter, you can have the 1.2 level leveling. This is just a good loot filter overall. And around level 40, I actually swapped to Dreadful's loot filter. And what I'm currently doing, once I get like over 50 or something of the shards per... Let's just say, wait, I'm going to show you guys an example. Here, for example, Void Resistance. I have 53 of these. So in my loot filter, I'll get out Void Resistance out of this thing. So I don't see it anymore on the ground. Because if I already clicked it off. But this is basically what I'm doing. Because it usually had tier 4s of 34 or something affixes. But now I'm just currently slowly getting the affixes off so I don't spend too much time. Because I have a full inventory still of random stuff I need to crush. Because I'm a hoarder. And I just do that kind of stuff. Anyway. For the idols. I have pretty bad idols to be honest. But these idols of the Weaver kind of stuff are really nice. Just because they get extra stuff. And they can just give your build a little bit flavor. But I haven't gotten any Smite stuff at all. I just use them to get more resistance, to be honest. Especially the Weaver idols, they're really good for the extra resistance. I mean, 18% is really good on just an idol. Especially last year when I started playing, it was not that way for all of these idols. These are really good. And then if you can get some class-specific idols, you can also make them have some Weaver stuff on there. I'm not sure what it's called, Weaver something. For the Woven Echoes, just get as much points as you can, I think. Let's see, where can I see factions? Back the Woven, rank of reputation, the Weaver tree. I just went into here. You really actually want to put your, what was it called? Your amulet, your unique amulet that you get on here. So you'll get more of that unique amulet, but I don't have that one yet. So I'm just putting a unique or just a random amulet on there. Hopefully I'll get more. Actually, now that I think about this, I think I might put an exiled amulet on there with something good like damage over time. So I'll get more of those. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. As to switch this out. There we go. Hopefully I'll get more things with damage over time now, and I'll also get more of those. That's about it, I think. Yeah, we're at 15 minutes. I did the idols, appearance, blessings, not too much, but get increased experience. That's always great. Anything that gives you more damage is also great. Not too sure. I think the build guide will cover all of that kind of specific stuff. I hope this helped for most people watching this. It's a little bit chaotic because I do want to get this through. There's been a bit of a pace. But I appreciate everyone watching, especially last night's live stream was pretty well. So that's great. I'm going to be blasting for a little bit after this. So if you have any questions or whatever, let me know. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching,